Everybody, if you don't already know who I am, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler. My daily live streams are on Rumble, and I post the clips to CommieTube. Now, I think I'm in the bad books of CommieTube, probably because I refer to them as CommieTube. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, feed the algorithm, and, watch the video to the end. Enjoy it. It's an amazing thing that the lead is buried to some extent. There's no border issue in Canada. There's no criminality issue. Donald Trump was lying about the whole fentanyl, terrorists crossing the border. In the tariff war with Canada, there's no problem, but now they're going to fight it very, very hard up in Canada. Fight hard! From the Globe and Mail, there's a border bill, and wait until you get to the lead that has been buried, the Easter egg that has been buried. Speaking of hidden Easter eggs and things that are too big for most people to understand and read, we'll get there. Globe and Mail, updated 2 hours ago. I want to see what the update is. Border bill would give authorities sweeping security powers and restrict asylum claims. It's interesting. Is this like sucking and blowing? There's no border problem. There's no immigration problem, but we got to tamp down on the border and immigration. Federal government has tabled a bill that would significantly limit who can pursue refugee claims in Canada while giving officials the power to cancel immigration applications en masse. The bill, tabled Tuesday, also includes a wide-ranging border security measures aimed at reducing the flow of drugs and illicit goods out of Canada. Oh, I thought there was no problem there because only 1% of the fentanyl nabbed crossing the border is coming through the Canadian-U.S. border. Oh, that's right. By the way, Sam Cooper's coming on Friday as well, in addition to another guest. Sam Cooper, the Bureau. Check him out. He's amazing. I thought it was all a pretext, right? I mean, imagine. This is what the Liberals are saying now that they've won. It's what the Conservatives should have said during the election to ensure that they had won. But no, instead of admitting the problem and placing all the blame on the Liberals, the Conservatives and Poilievre in particular, Poilievre decided that he was going to go with the Trump big bad boogeyman. And Trump is the bully. Not that the Liberals have screwed everything up. While giving security agencies fresh powers to collect information about electronic communications. Oh, awesome. More surveillance. They've screwed up. More surveillance of you. More powers to them. More loss of rights to you. It is one of the first pieces of legislation. Carney's government goes into further changes, yada, yada, yada. Proposed legislation is the latest federal announcement designed to beef up the border with the United States after complaints from President Donald Trump that Canada has not done enough to stop illegal crossing and combat fentanyl smuggling, even though border agency data, bullshit. It's like they're bending over backwards to solve a problem that doesn't exist because they all know that it exists to such a degree, in fact, and the Canadian government has been infiltrated and compromised to such a degree that the American government doesn't actually share all of its intelligence data with the Canadian government because it can't be sure that it's not going to fall into the hands of adversarial interests, China, India, cartels, and gangs. All right, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But we want to get there. The bill was quickly criticized by refugee advocates. Okay. Under the bill, anyone who claims asylum after more than a year in Canada would not have their case considered by the Immigration and Refugee Board and would instead face deportation. But they would be offered a risk assessment first. Yada, yada. Okay, fine. It would also clamp down on those exploiting a provision of the Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States. Under the agreement, people must claim asylum in the first country they arrive in, meaning they most are sent back to the U.S. if they arrive at the border in Canada. Okay. The bill would change the rules required to people claiming asylum within 14 days after that claimants would not receive a hearing and instead be subject to deportation. Okay. The bill would give the government authority to immediately pause or cancel processing of immigration applications, including en masse, for example, if evidence of widespread fraud emerged. Oh, that's interesting. When Trump does that, arguably does that, people lied on their applications to get whatever visas they have revoked if they're partaking in arguably activist activity that negates or contradicts or goes against U.S. domestic and foreign policy. Canada's doing it now. Migrant Rights Network spokesman Syed Hussan expressed alarm at the changes, saying they would drastically restrict protections for refugees and immigrants. Okay, fine. Let's go down here because we're going to get to the lead that has been buried. Listen to this. In addition to the asylum changes, the bill also proposes new powers at the border and law enforcement agencies. Okay. The bill would give police and intelligence services enhanced power to access electronic information, in some cases without a warrant granted by a court. How far down the article did we have to get for this, Shiat? And this is an article summarizing the bill. How far down? Are we almost at the end? Pretty close. So they can access electronic information, sometimes without a warrant. Nothing to see there, folks. They can freeze bank accounts without a court order. Nothing to see there, folks. They set the precedent and Canadians ratified it. Congratulations. You live with what you vote for. The only problem is so does everyone else. It would boost the role of the Coast Guard by giving it the ability to conduct security patrols using helicopters, yada, yada, yada. Fine. The proposed law would give police more power to search mail while expanding the authority of Canada Post to open people's letters. This is North Korea, people. This is North Korea. This is the best part, though. The bill would outlaw cash transactions greater than $10,000 to prevent money laundering. Don't worry, though. You can deposit more than $10,000. See what red flags that sets off. Banks and credit unions would still be able to take deposits in cash over $10,000. You just won't be able to take it out. So you can't make cash transactions greater than $10,000. You can't take out cash more than $10,000. What happens if you take out $5,000 a day? You think that's not going to raise any alarms? Frozen bank account. So let me just summarize. They can access your electronic information without a court order. They can open your mail. You can't make any cash transactions greater than $10,000. And you probably can't take that money out of your bank account in a manner that would be deemed to be a violation of that. $2,000 a day every day. They're going to say, well, you've done 5 days this week. That's enough. That's enough of your cash for you, sir. We don't know what you're doing with that cash. The bill also contains measures to clamp down on the illicit drug trade, including precursor chemicals used in fentanyl. But I thought we didn't have a problem. I thought Vancouver wasn't the capital, the fentanyl capital of the world. To hamper the smuggling of drugs and other illicit goods, such as stolen cars, the bill would compel warehouse operators and transport companies to give Canadian border agents access to inspect goods destined for export. Currently, border agents can only check imports. Oh. Only 1% of the fentanyl that's nabbed at the border is nabbed coming through Canada. Currently, border agents can only check imports to Canada. They can't inspect goods destined for export. Oh, maybe that explains a few things. Holy hell. The bill also enhances the ability of law enforcement to share information about sex offenders, both in Canada and abroad. Okay, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangari, I got to see who this person is, told reporters on Tuesday that he planned to meet the U.S. border czar Tom Homan to discuss the measures. A number of elements of the bill that have irritants for the U.S. So there are a number of elements in the bill that have been irritants for the U.S. So we are addressing one of those issues, but it's okay. Michael Geist, by the way, you should all follow him. He actually gives pretty decent legal analysis up in Canada. University of Ottawa's Canada Research Chair in Law said measures to compel electronic service providers such as Rogers and Bell to provide information to the police and CSIS raise serious privacy concerns. It's funny. I've been following Michael Geist for a while, relying on his insights to make sure that I've got things straight, and happy that Michael Geist is expressing the same concerns that I'm expressing. He predicted that the bill could make electronic service providers such as Microsoft, yada, 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 produce information about the subscribers. He said Supreme Court had knocked back previous attempts to gain access to such data without a warrant. Quote, the government has tried to bury this within a broader border bill to make it more immune to removal or amendment, which is troubling, he said. Exactly like what they're doing with that one big, beautiful bill in the States, slapping a bunch of shit into a 1,116-page bill that nobody can possibly sufficiently comprehend before voting on it, and hope that these Easter eggs get slipped through. So to recap, they can get your electronic data without a court order. They can, I forgot the other ones. Well, you know what I mean. Go watch the video again if you want to remember what we said there. That's what's going on in Canada, people.